Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning, and what a show we got lined up for you today. I'm a Celebrity Star. Scarlette Douglas will be here. She'll be swapping the Australian sunshine and jungle for the Hampshire countryside as she joins me on the show this morning. Chef James Tanner will be getting behind the hobs as he's treating us to another pub classic dish a little bit later. Saturday morning newcomer Niall Keating, top chef Niall Keating, will be serving up an incredible dish of halibut a little bit later. And First Dates barman Merlin Griffiths is back. The crew are very excited because he's back armed with some more brilliant cocktail recipes. And don't miss this week's little masterclass when I'll be teaching you the classic way to make an amazing dish. Yes, it's chicken Kiev, one of the nation's favourites. And that's not all, because my first guest at the house is an old friend of the days, a ready, steady cook. She's a food writer and head of one of the country's best cookery schools. It's the fabulous Leslie Waters. Congratulations, 30 years together on television. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it.
What has happened?
Where's that band,
What's that? What's that? Where's those bags and all that kind of stuff? Those ready, steady cook bags. It was an amazing time, though, wasn't it?
Did you get nervous?
Really? No.
I did. I always used to get nervous.
Really. I suppose it was my release from... Because I suppose I was one of the well, younger generation, but I was one of the kids working in a commercial kitchen. And of course, it was done on my day off, so it was that release of the day off before you went back and did service. I did the service on the night as well. Anyway, we're going to talk about what I'm going to be doing, but you're cooking for us. What are you going to be making for us?
I'm going to be doing a dish that was actually inspired by a very young person through a competition, cookery competition, where I've taken it and sort of made it mine. Okay. And I'm going to be doing...
the recipe into it?
Basically, yes. A chorizo chicken with a cannellini bean ragu. I think you're going to like it, James.
OK, well, we've got the person on the phone now, so if you want to... Only joking.
Oh, my God!
Nearly had you, your face then.
Nearly had
exactly.
Then.
So anyway, we're going to kick things off today with a wonderful little pasta recipe. I'm going to do an artichoke and pasta recipe because, like I said, when we started this, it was in the middle of COVID. We wanted to introduce you with different suppliers, and I'm going to talk to you about one of the suppliers as well that's producing this amazing pasta. But the first thing I want to do is get it started and get it cooking, really. So I've fired this. This is where this electric hob is amazing. You fire it really, really hot, yeah. So we get this rapidly boiling, and then we season this. Now, the late, great Carluccio, I remember he did my first ever Saturday morning show.
Really?
16 years ago, yeah. And I remember he taught me how to cook pasta over the years, and he said it should taste of the seawater. So when you put the salt in, this is usually the amount of salt we normally put in.
Yeah.
He would put in salt.
Wow.
Salt.
I put a lot in, but not quite as much as that.
It should taste of the sea, right?
A bit like when you're cooking crab.
Yeah. I've got asbestos fingers, don't do that at home. but that goes in there. And then I'm going to take this pasta. So we're going to introduce you to this amazing pasta supplier in a minute. I'm going to take this pasta, I'm going to pop that in there. Plenty of salted boiling water. No need for any oil. It doesn't... It's just, I don't know where people got that from. I've got no idea. But we're going to boil that up, take 6 to 8 minutes, and then while that's cooking, I'm going to flavour this with some artichokes, with some lemon, some garlic, and that kind of stuff. To break down a simple artichoke, these are sort of purple or violet artichokes. Really, there's 2 different types of artichokes. One that grows above the ground, one that goes below the ground. They're not relative to each other. The one that goes below the ground... It's like a root. They're Jerusalem artichokes. They have a big, massive, great stem. They're like bamboo when you grow them in the garden.
Beautiful, though, aren't they?
Amazing when they see them grow, and then you dig them out. And these are lovely globe artichokes, which you've got in here. And I've got a globe artichoke plant in my garden. In the summer, they grow really, really well. And they're one of these things, once you plant them, just trim them back in the winter, and they'll just keep coming back.
So they're quite hardy things.
They're amazing. They keep coming back and give you more and more and more. But when you pick them young like this, you get the lovely violet...
Yeah.
Or purple artichokes with these. Now, there's several ways you can prepare them, but I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to trim them off like that. And I think with a lot of things with artichokes, people would keep these for your compost heap, because these are brilliant.
Yeah.
But with artichokes like that, they never know what to do with them because they don't know how to prepare them. These are much simpler than the larger ones, where you've got to cook them whole and you eat the heart out the middle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can eat the entire lot of this, but what you do is trim off these points. These are quite spiky, so trim them off like that. And then all I kind of do with this is you can cut this into sort of pieces like this, and you can eat the entire lot.
That's brilliant that you can do that.
Well, they're so simple. If you're going to cook more of them, or keep more of them, these will go brown. So if you've got lots to prepare, these will go brown. So you keep them in acidulated water, just a little bowl of water with a little bit of lemon juice, as you know, but nice and simple. So trim off the outer leaves like that. trim off that bit.
And they cut quite easy because they're quite young, aren't they?
Yeah, they're nice and easy. Yeah, and they're really, and you just cook them with a little bit of olive oil and some water and that kind of stuff, a little bit of wine, and you can make a very, very simple little sauce using that. So you just take our artichokes. This is what you'll see in the glass jars, that kind of stuff. And all you want to do with this, a little bit of olive oil in the pan, some garlic, and then I'm going to use some really nice olive oil as well, because this is the sauce that's going to end up in this pan as well. Crushed bit of garlic, so a little bit of garlic, crushed. Artichokes in, like that. White wine in. Oh, take the top off is a good start, isn't it? It's a good start to the morning. And I'll get a pasta facial. Look at this. There you go. But look at that. Bit of that. And then I'm going to finish that off with some chilli and bits and pieces as we go. But like I said, we're going to introduce you now to this amazing pasta supplier. The pasta is bubbling away there. We're not going to go to Italy for this, so we're heading to Cumbria to speak to Imogen Royal from the Northern Pasta Company. I'm loving the name of this one, Imogen. Who thought of this name? Welcome.
We both did. So it's me and my husband.
Tell us about how it started, because it started with you. You're a recent company, really. This is not a company that's been going 40, 50 years. Let's hope it will be going 40, 50 years. I'm sure it will. But how did it all start? Because neither of you are from catering backgrounds.
No, neither of us are. I mean, my husband is a builder and I'm an interior designer by trade, so absolutely nothing to do with food. Matt, my husband, has got family in Italy. We ended up getting engaged there, getting married there. So we kind of had this, you know, a love affair with the country and the food. But not everybody who loves pasta starts a pasta company. I worked at a sourdough bakery. So I was surrounded by this beautiful British flour. And I started to kind of learn more about gut health and all these gorgeous grains that we grow in Britain. And we kind of noticed a gap. And we thought there could be a brilliant way of championing beautiful British grains and creating a gorgeous pasta product.
So tell us about it, because predominantly you're using spelt for this and different...
Yes.
So tell us what the difference between this... I mean, pasta in general, it can make you feel quite bloated.
It can.
What is the difference between... Is there a difference in method that you make it? What is the difference in taste? How can people differentiate the difference between the two?
OK, so what we found was a lot of the pasta in the supermarket, it's quite heavy, makes you feel tired, bloated. It's also quite tasteless. So our aim was to create something, and what we have created is something that's really full of flavour. And this is all because of the spelt, which is what I've got here. So it's this beautiful, beautiful grain. And it's really easy to digest. But also it's full of flavour. Spelt has this gorgeous nutty flavour, so you'll notice that when you eat this pasta.
But spelt's got a little bit of gluten in it, hasn't it? But not as much as normal flour. So that's probably why it's better, easier to digest.
How on earth, with no background whatsoever, interior design, builder, brought together, I know what, I'll make pasta. Where do you begin?
You trial and error. We have
in your house, because you can't have built a factory. You can't have well, you could have built a factory, but how would you start that process?
Well, we just started at home really and started blending flours and just testing. We ate masses of pasta and we just started figuring out what works best. We knew the sort of people we wanted to work with. We knew that we wanted to work with British millers and British flour, and we knew spelt was where we wanted to go. So we'd kind of narrowed it down, but it was a lot about trial and error. So Matt's in charge of, he crafts all the pasta. So he does it himself, which is amazing. He uses totally traditional methods to make it. So I've got actually a bronze die here, which makes a massive difference to the pasta. So the dough is extruded through this, which you'll notice when you try it, it gives it this incredible texture. So yeah, Matt does all of the methods to make it, all the traditional methods. It's really slow dried. So it probably takes us to get from flour to pasta. It's a 48-hour sort of process.
Yeah. How long does it actually take to slow dry then?
So it takes about 24 hours.
About
to
24
do that.
hours. When you first started, Imogen, did you do fresh pasta with the spelt dough?
We did do fresh pasta when we started, and that was that was it was really lovely. However, we fully believe that the drying just enhances this flavour. Obviously, it makes it a more viable product. People can have it in their cupboards. It lasts longer, but also it's full of flavour.
And a better texture.
It's all in the cooking, though, Imogen. It's all in the cooking as well.
Yeah, apparently that's what I heard.
Not me out of the loop, you know. But look, we're just going to go through what we got in here. I just want to show you. I got the artichokes now starting to. So these are all sort of cooked down with the garlic. I've got some white wine in there, a little bit of shallot in there as well. And you can see they've softened up really, really nice. So that's the olive oil, just olive oil and white wine in there.
That didn't take long, did it?
It's about 10 minutes, really. So, and this pasta's taken about 8 minutes to cook. And then what I'm going to do is just put, like all sort of Italian dishes, we finish off.
Some of that pasta water in there, which is
I'm going to turn this heat down now. I'm going to take the pasta with the water.
Yeah.
Which will create a nice little dish in its own right, I think, really. And that's where you take that salt that's in there as well. I'm going to take this beautiful little shaped pasta. And interesting you showed us that little die. I've got a similar machine to this at home that people have seen. So that's just a bigger version of the bit of kit that I've got here to make the pasta. But look, you just take this nice little pasta now. We can finish this off. So turn up the heat a little bit. In we go with some lemon over the top. In goes the parsley. In we go with the chilli. Oh. A little bit of that. Lemon juice. With a little bit of olive oil.
Oh.
Some black pepper. Like that.
Imogen, you can't smell this, but it smells fabulous.
I'm a bit jealous.
So look, we just mix all that lot together. And then we can just serve this. It's now ready. So grab yourself some plates. Like that. Lift this off. And you've got the pasta with the artichokes.
You're going to be making this tonight, Imogen.
Absolutely.
But with the artichokes, I think with the artichokes, really, I mean, I wanted to show it because people really don't know what to do with it, really.
Yeah. Could they get away, James, with the ones in oil?
You can buy the ones in the tin. Yeah, you can buy the ones in the tin and just do it exactly the same sort of way. There's no... They've got really... You know, as long as it's got olive oil. It's not brine. Don't use the one in brine.
Yeah, because they taste briny, don't they?
And then I've just got some Parmesan over the top. A little bit of Parmesan over the top. So there you have it, Imogen. Like I said to you, it's all in the cooking at the end of it.
Yes,
hopefully that does your pasta justice as well. But congratulations on a great business idea and best of luck with it as well. I wish you all the best.
All the best, Imogen.
There you go. When we want our house doing, we'll give you a shout if you get bored of it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you. Enjoy, guys.
There you go. Take care of yourself. Thank you. There we go. Pasta done.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Leslie, there you have it.
Thank you.
A plate of pasta surrounded by pasta.
I am longing to taste this.
That's light, isn't it? With the lemon
It's got
and the
a
chilli.
bite. It's got a bite, hasn't it?
And that's only 8 minutes.
Yeah, and nutty. But the lemon with the artichoke, those are my favourite flavours.
It's just so simple with the garlic and everything else.
It's simple, but
bit
it's
of chilli
fab.
to give it a zing.
Yeah.
There we have it. Right, still to come, we've got dishes from Leslie, of course, and Chef Niall Keaton will be joining us at the house in a little while. And Scarlette Douglas will be here from I'm a Celebrity and GMB. She'll be here very shortly, but join us again after the break, when Mr. James Tanner will be popping down to my local pub and whipping up a plate of whitebait. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be joining a recipe from my good friend, Leslie Waters, and Scarlette Douglas will be pulling up a stool in my kitchen very shortly. OK, it's time now for another recipe. This time, we're treating ourselves to another pub classic as Chef James Tanner dishes up an amazing plate of whitebait. Enjoy this one.
Welcome to that all-time pub classic. Yes, it's all about the whitebait. This stuff So we've got some whitebait that we're going to be dusting and coating up very shortly, but before that, it's all about that sauce. So here, we've got some mayonnaise. We have some tomato ketchup. That just adds the wonderful colour to it, obviously, but it's all about the flavour. So we've got some brandy that goes in there. We've got a touch of Worcestershire sauce. Good shot of Tabasco, of course. And then we can bulk this out more and add creaminess to it with creme fraiche. You can use a touch of sour cream as well. And then a bit of spice as well. So we've got some chilli powder, some cayenne pepper. That goes in there as well. And it's just a great all-round. Yes, you could call it a Mary Rose, but if not, a good pub classic cocktail sauce. So let's make that. So in this bowl here, like I said, we've got some mayonnaise. To that, we've got a bit of sour cream as well, or creme fraiche goes in there as well. So you want roughly around about 2 parts mayonnaise to 1 part sour cream. In with your spiced elements, a little bit of heat there. A couple of drops of Tabasco goes in. A little glug of Worcestershire sauce. And with this, it's all about building the flavours. Now, you can play around with the recipe, obviously, as much as you want to, but you've just got to get that wonderful richness to it. Obviously, optional on this one, a little shot of the brandy, but I've got to admit, it adds such a classic back note to me. Now, this recipe isn't just for whitebait, of course. Hey, come on, who remembers prawn cocktails? Old school prawn cocktails? That's what that sauce is all about. Great for Christmas time as well, that kind of thing. Also works wonderfully with avocado. So please remember that one. Okay, now, smoked paprika. Little touch of that goes in there. And then also chili powder. Now, obviously, gonna add the heat, so literally just a pinch. And then for that extra little bit of heat as well, we got some touch of cayenne pepper, but not too much. So just a little tiny pinch. And then we just simply give everything a mix up. Now, as you're mixing and combining, obviously the colours are gonna come out, and it's obviously gonna change the colour of the recipe. And this is where you can tweak it. You can taste it as you go along. A bit more heat goes in there, etc. I'm going in with a bit more ketchup to give us that more pinkier colour. Perfect. Now, you're also going to need a touch of pepper in there and salt. So, give it a little twist. In with a pinch of sea salt, goes in there as well. Give everything a mix up. Let's do a taste test. When you taste it, I mean, there's a reason why these things are classic. Let's not change them around too much. So, we're going to grab ourselves a dipping pot because we want to dip our whitebait into these. Now, of course, you could just eat it as it is, but it's all about the flavour of the different sauce. So let's get that in there now. If you want to go for that real old school classic pub garnish as well, just a little pinch of your chosen spice. I'm going for smoked paprika on this one, just on the top. And yeah, it's little things like that, you know, customers eat with their eyes and everything, just little touches like that. To that, let's get our presentation set. Good couple of wedges of lemon. Yes, for the sauce, but also, more importantly, for the whitebait. So we're just gonna lay these around ready to present, because we're on to the star of the show, of course, which is the whitebait. So for our whitebait coating and crust as such, in it goes. We've got some plain flour. The spices, some of the spices that we used in the sauce are going to go into our crust now. And we're going to use them again at the end. Smoked paprika, obviously, that smoky back note. Yes, the chili for a touch of heat in there. And then just that peppery kick as well. You need a bit of salt in it as well. And then we just give it a good seasoning of salt and the pepper. And a touch. Cayenne pepper goes in there as well, and up to the star of the show, of course, the whitebait. So we're going to create a wonderful crust with this. So these guys need to go into the flour and spice mixture. Obviously, I'm just going to do enough for one. And then we're going to coat all of the whitebait in that flour mix. So you end up with a perfectly coated individual little fish, a little sprat. Now, What a lot of people would do would be to dump this straight into the fryer now with a big clump of all of that flour mix on it. But A, it ruins your oil, and we all know how much that costs nowadays, let's face it. And also, it will just kill the life of your fryer, and you could get a raw flour taste, and that is what I do not want to happen with this one. So, little tip, I'm going over to the middle now. We're going to get a sieve and just knock off a touch of the excess flour onto one tray, OK? And that way, you'll see that there'll be flour left at the bottom of the bowl, which obviously you can reuse, because if you're cooking this for a few people, you wouldn't do a load at once, you do it in a few batches, because it will lower the heat of your fryer, OK? Same principle again, just knock off a little bit of that excess flour and spice mixture and lay your fish out. And when I say lay it, it helps because then they won't be all clumped up. OK, so let's just get rid of that. And then now's the time for frying. But before you do, just make sure you're set. Your fryer's preheated. We're going in at about 180 to 190 degrees. So here we go. Let's knock off even now a little bit more of that excess flour straight into our basket. Remember, preheat that oil, and in they go. So as they cook, we just give it a little bit of a move in. You can use a spider or shape your basket. And the idea and why we do this is so everything doesn't clump together. So really important. There is nothing worse than a sticky, clumped up whitebait. So we just keep it moving to make sure nothing's clumped up. What you're after is nothing too dry, but you must have that wonderful crisp. And that crisp holds around the fish. And then when you dip it in that Merry Rose sauce, winner, winner, whitebait dinner. All-time classic, this one. And now you'll see the colour has got a slight golden to it. Even now, it's just got a little crust starting to form. And we just leave it to make sure it's cooked, because we know it's not sticking together. But remember, very, very important, we drain naturally in the basket, and then we drain again, either kitchen paper would be fine or J-cloths, and take off that excess oil, because there's nothing worse than anything too greasy. Whitebait must be served hot. It's not very nice cold at all, so it must be straight out, seasoned, and hence why you do your sauce first and have that all-time classic lemon that goes with it. Really, really nice. Here we go. That's looking good to me. So first we drain, like I said before, and as you can see, just even by holding it, the excess oil comes off. And you just make sure that it's completely off as much as possible. And listen, I can hear that crispness in the basket, which is exactly what you want. So again, give it a good shake. And now, onto our drain flat. And again, make sure that it's not clumping, because if it is so, it will continue to cook and then it will steam. And that's where you don't want a soggy whitebait. It's time to add a little bit more spice, a touch of salt, and let's plate up. Smells fantastic. OK, so I'm going to add to mine a touch more paprika and just that little pinch of cayenne for heat. And then we're going to finish it again with a little sprinkling of salt. Give it a little shake. And as you can see, the tray's done its job, taking off the excess oil. Let's plate these up here. And look at that. That, to me, super, super classic. I might even give one a little dip myself, look. If it's not broke, don't try and fix it. That all-time classic. There's my deep-fried whitebait.
Cracking plate of food there. Right, still to come, we've got recipes on the way from chefs Leslie Waters and Niall Keating will be here. But I'll see you after the break in just a couple of minutes when we're whipping up a delicious plate of seared sea bass for I'm a Celebrity star Scarlette Douglas. I'll see you in a minute. Do you want to go in yet, Ralph? Hey, do you want to go in yet? Welcome back. Now, Leslie Waters and Niall Keating will be showcasing their amazing skills in the kitchen. That's a little bit later. But first, I'm here with a property TV expert who's left her home comforts behind when she went into the jungle and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I don't know why on earth people do that, but I can ask her now. It's Scarlette Douglas! Why?
You said you wouldn't do it, James.
Why? It's too hot. I don't like jungles. Just no.
Just don't like jungles.
Just don't like that.
No.
But anyway, congratulations. You're here now as well.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now, a big food lover as well. Yeah, ching ching.
Yeah,
so a big food lover as well.
Oh, I'm such a foodie. Hang on.
Does that come from your parents and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So my mum is, well, both my parents are Jamaican. So my mum,
Met them.
yes, you have that traditional Jamaican cooking, the seasoning, the flavours, the taste. I blame my mum as to why I'm such a big foodie, because her food is so good.
OK, well, I'm going to cook for you an amazing... It's like an Italian sort of themed dish for this one, really. We've got broccoli, which I'm going to roast off with some garlic and some olive oil. Beautiful bit of sea bass, because I know you like sea bass. Pan-fried. I'm going to make a little salsa to go with it, really. And then we'll finish it all in a pan. So it starts off with the broccoli, a little bit of garlic. We've got some sort of purple sprouting broccoli over here. So you just touch your garlic, thinly sliced.
I've always wanted to learn how to do that.
Keep your fingers well out of the way. That's the best advice I can give.
OK.
Or get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I'll just do that one
But
instead.
a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, because that's the thing. Oh, you wouldn't normally cook with extra virgin olive oil, but for this, it's an integral part of the sauce, it's an integral part of anything. So garlic, you just fry. Don't fry garlic till it goes brown. It goes bitter and it burns. I've got some purple sprouting broccoli. The larger stems, you can just split. The smaller stems, that sort of size, will cook. So many people with broccoli would boil this.
Yeah.
Don't boil it again.
OK.
Roast it. It's amazing. Or grill it. It's just absolutely delicious. So
Is there much of a difference in the flavour between purple sprouting broccoli and normal?
Really. Yes, I would have said so. Yeah, there's a bit more earthy with this one, but go for this one if you can do. So a little bit of that, and then we put some lemon juice and lemon zest on afterwards. But what I'm going to do is take the whole lot and just pop in the oven. It takes about sort of 6 minutes. That's going to go in there. I'm going to roast off a little bit of fish, and we've got a nice little salsa verde to go with it. So, I mean, I'm intrigued to know about how you got into your property business and everything else like that, because when you started off, it wasn't... That's what wasn't you were meant to do, really, was it?
No,
really?
not at all. So I came from a musical theatre background, so a lot of singing, dancing, acting. But it was my eldest brother, Stuart, in fact, both my brothers played football. But Stuart had said to me, what are you going to do when you can't sing and dance anymore? You know, you can't do this forever. So he had invested his money into property, and he said, you know, you don't have a pension, so let me kind of help you, take you under my wing, and give you something that you can do and you can just bring you an income when you can't perform anymore.
What, give me your money?
Literally.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like, giving your brother the money?
Well, let's just say I was still involved, because he's not the best with money. I was still involved. Yeah. So, yeah, we put our money together, and he's very good at more of the kind of redesigning of a property, the structural changes, working with the architects, and I've got to use my creative flair from being on the stage and just loving fashion in general to just kind of do the interior design side of things and decorating, and I loved it, and we actually worked quite well as a partnership. He would probably say otherwise to start off with, because there were lots of things I wanted, and he was like, no, if you're redeveloping a house to sell, because we were flipping properties...
There's certain things you've got to do, aren't you? You can take it too personal, can't you?
Exactly, and I wanted to put all of my own creative styles in there, and Stuart said, you have to strip it back, because you don't want it to be too garish. It's not your house, you're doing it.
A lot of magnolia.
Right, exactly. Whereas actually, to be fair, now that's changed quite a bit.
Greys?
You know. Yeah, and not even greys. People do like to see colour now. I think because of the Instagram days and feeds, when you just kind of scroll through and you see all these beautiful, wild, colourful homes and houses and interiors, a lot of people actually want to see a property now that has been dressed already, whereas before it was very much magnolia, greys, nothing too out there, but people...
Well, we're going to show a clip
now
of something you've been involved in as well. So this is the little bit of sea bass. I'm just going to pan-fry this little bit of sea bass, and then my little sort of pesto is in here. So I've got some garlic, which, again, with this one, we're just going to crush it a little bit. And you want some salt, and it's a good idea to use things like sea salt, because it's more coarse.
OK.
So you want some sea salt in there. And we're going to crush the garlic in the pestle and mortar with all these sort of herbs. I've got some oregano, which I've got in here, which you can strip it from the stalks. A little bit of mint, and then some parsley, which we can just chop up and add that to mixture as well. And I was talked about, you know, putting your own touches to it. None more sure than the clip that we're going to see in a minute. This is from this well, restoration-style show that
Yeah.
you've been involved in as well. Tell us about that before we see the clip.
So that is my dream derelict home in the sun. That took just over 2 years to make the show.
Yeah.
And we're following very brave Brits that are taking on these huge renovation projects in Spain and France. A lot of them had never done anything before, but they just knew that they had a small amount of money. They wanted their dream home in the sunshine. How can we then make our dreams come true, sort of thing? And
You
that's
haven't
what
seen
it
it.
is.
This is a little clip.
Hi.
You all right?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
I am loving this. I love the setting, I love the green shutters, the church, the grounds. It's beautiful.
It is really beautiful.
I can see why I love it. What is it for you that made you fall in love with this place?
The same, really, the French charm of it. As soon as you open the gates, then this is our dream, so we've stepped straight into our dream.
And how much did you get this one for?
It was 55,000
It cost
euros.
us 50,000.
So £50,000.
Including
So
taxes.
quite a bargain, and it's less than the asking price, but we did a bit of bartering.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like a bit of bartering? So
Yeah.
we,
Some furniture included.
and we got some furniture included. So again, for our cycling projects.
Okay, because you do like to repurpose things, don't you? Recycle, upcycle.
Yeah.
Will you be doing that with the majority of the house?
Yeah, we say it's either free second-hand or we'll make it.
Any other bargains that you've got so far?
Yeah, I bought a kitchen for £62.
You've got a kitchen for £62.
Yeah,
It's very
it's in the
old.
van. It's very old. It's going to need some work, but
Yeah.
£62 for a new kitchen.
I love that.
£62.
They kind of left the house and ripped the picture off the wall and
Yeah,
taken out the
literally.
plaster off as well.
Honestly, Claire and Ian, they were so lovely. And the thing I loved about them is the fact that Ian, unfortunately, was diagnosed with throat cancer and had it removed. And he said that it was all about having a new lease of life and actually living for the moment. And it was something they always wanted to do. And they just said, you know, we're going to do it. Why not?
And that's not what the other shows that you're doing. It's not to flip. It's just basically to see people buy that, get a bag and then renovate it.
Yes, exactly. So Worst House on the Street, the show that I do with my brother, is all about people that have bought there, whether it's their first home or a place they're going to be staying in for a long time, that needs a lot of work to be done on it. And then, yeah, we help them renovate it without breaking the bank to be there.
You're quite busy, aren't you, really?
Oh, my God, I'm so busy.
Well, we didn't even talk about I'm a Celebrity as well, but I'm just going to run through what we've got in here. Look, we've got our lemon zest in there. I've got some capers, and that's it. You just pop it down a pestle. You can put this in a blender as well if you want, but you're just going to get this little paste. The fish that I've got in here is cooked, so
That's it, done.
People always overcook fish. It's the key to it is cook it like that. It's beautiful colour on it. When you baste it with the butter like that, it's going to continual cooking. The residual heat of the fish, if it's cooked in the pan, it's ruined when you eat it.
Okay.
Technically, that's how chefs look at it. So you just want to sort of 3/4 cook it, and as it sits there, it continues to cook. It's a very delicate sea bass anyway, so you can take your little tray and sit that on there, and then the residual gubbins that's in this, because there's all a load of lovely flavour in here, you can take this mixture. And I'm not going to put this on the heat, you just warm this up. So this has got the lemon zest, it's got the garlic.
I smell all of that coming through.
Yeah,
So
and then you can, if you're going to add anything, no more butter, just olive oil.
See, we need people like you in the jungle with us, because when you get sent weird and wonderful foods and you don't know what to do, you'd be on it.
I ain't going to cook with that, you just get like half a rat or whatever it is. I
Yeah,
can't do
or
anything with that.
crocodile feet. Ugh.
I need a whole plethora of spices and stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that.
don't get anything. You don't even get salt and pepper.
It is as real as what they're saying.
It really is. It really is rough. You are just slumming it out there.
Well, we're going to talk about I'm a Celebrity and all the other stuff that you're doing at the moment as well. So, but I want to talk about the bit you mentioned, the West End and stuff like that. But your dad's, you mentioned your mum and food as well.
Yeah.
But your dad, particularly, was your dad that you put you into the music thing? Because wasn't
Yeah, so my dad owned the first legal black radio station in the UK. So when I say black, I mean urban, R&B, soul. And it was great because from the age of, 2, 3, 4, I was around incredible artists that would be at my dad's radio station.
incredible artists that you were saying.
Yeah, he had the Jackson 5 there. He brought SWV over. He did a lot with old Motown artists and bands. And I think just being around that sort of environment and atmosphere made me realise that I absolutely want to be on the stage. Love it.
You've not done too bad so far, have you, really?
Thank
Not
you.
done too bad. We're going to talk about everything else that you're up to as well. But this is your lovely bit of fish. So you take your nice little bit of sea bass.
Yes.
Like that. I just like the simplicity of this. It's just the sea bass.
And just how quick it took to make as well.
Yeah, you've got the capers and everything else. You take the sauce that goes with it. take it all as well. Don't heat it up once you've got this in, because you retain all that lovely colour that goes as well. And if you want to do anything, just a little bit more drizzle of olive oil over the top. And then what I have got is just a little bit of herb oil, which you take any leftover herbs that you got, blend it with just vegetable oil, and you've got this nice little herb oil. So it's another double whack of herb oil to go with it. But there you have it. Simple, nice and quick. Perfect dish for you to taste. Easy stuff.
Fantastic. My mouth's watering
Done.
already.
Sea bass finished. There we have it.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. Dive in. Tell me what you think.
Yes. Oh.
You see, the skin, you don't have to eat it, but you
I
see,
like the skin
it takes it nice and crisp. And if you're going to eat the skin off it, you've got to be crispy.
Yeah,
See, the
without a
fish is
doubt.
cooked.
Oh my God. That is so good.
Oh, isn't it?
I'm not gonna lie, I was worried that maybe there's a bit too much salt going in it, but it totally works.
Thanks.
It really works. This is
Have a
very
little
good.
bit of faith in me. Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
just a little bit.
Right, we're making a chocolate fondant, Scarlett, at the end of the show. And I'll be giving you a masterclass in chicken Kiev a little bit later. But join us again after the break when Leslie Waters will be sharing her recipe for a chorizo-crusted chicken. I'll see you in a bit. It's lovely, that, isn't it?
So good.
Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be serving a step-by-step guide to making a chicken Kiev. And this week's little masterclass, and I'll be treating my guest, Scarlette Douglas, to a chocolate fondant a little bit later. But first, got my arm around this amazing lady over there. But first, we're joined in the house by Niall Keating. And, of course, we're joined by a woman who's been the forefront of cookery on the TV for 30 years. It's Leslie Waters. Great to have you in the house. Great to have you in the house.
Great to be
What are you
here.
going to be doing? Because you did a classic French dish last year, haven't you?
I did, and now I'm messing around with the dish.
Now, this is a little thing, because you've been judging a lot of these competitions, but tell us about the competition where it's a thing close to your heart as well.
Okay, so this is something that I started off. It used to be called the Diamond Standard Awards, and now it's called Passions for Excellence. It's been going on 11 years, and the age groups are 11 to 13.
Yeah.
14 to 16 and 16 to 18. So the younger groups can almost feed in. We can sort of keep an eye on future talent coming on. So I'm very proud to be part of it.
This recipe comes from a variety of three of them.
A variety of three of them
Go on
over
then.
the years. And
Go on
it's
then.
a chorizo coated chicken.
Yeah.
Originally, it was done with pheasant. And
Okay.
it was done with black pudding crust. So I've kind of taken that idea.
Yeah.
But you can do it with guinea fowl, chicken,
Yeah.
duck breast.
Okay.
You've got your chicken, I'm just trying to be hygienic here, in a bag.
that's
Take your rolling pin. And then smack it out. I feel very nervous doing this in front
You've
of you.
been a great teacher, because that's from your days at Prue Leith's and stuff like that. You love teaching about food, don't you? Whether
I love it,
cook
and
school
it's something I've always wanted to do, and I never thought I'd get the chance to do it.
I'm gonna mix these eggs
what
together.
I'd like you to do before.
Okay.
Wait a minute. What I'd like you to do before is I'd like you to chop me a red onion and chop me some apple, leave the skin on it nice and fine, and then what I'm going to do is make this crust. So you can do this crust with haggis if you want. Black pudding is really good. I'm going to put some chorizo in there and just give it a hit.
Did you go to college? You didn't go to college?
I haven't got a GCSE.
I haven't got a GCSE.
I haven't got a GCSE.
What was your highest GCSE score?
I don't remember. The only bit about GCSEs I remember is lying to my mum and dad saying that I actually got some.
I remember not doing very well in my home economics.
I failed cookery at home.
Did you? Yeah, I got pretty low
I
too.
got a GCSE in art. That was about it.
What I'm doing in here now is I'm putting some breadcrumbs in. I prefer fresh breadcrumbs than the dry ones because I think you get it's just a softer taste going into the chorizo. And I'm just going to hit the switch here, she says. Okay, that's it. I mean, that's as easy as it is. And you can do this ahead. You can do this the day before if you want. And could you...
What do you want?
I want that bowl.
You don't want it in that bowl?
No, but that's OK, because
No,
I can
I'll
put it
put it in
here.
another bowl, don't worry. Nobody's noticed.
Okay. I'm beating up some eggs here. Just a couple of eggs. Seasoned flour, so it's the old pane. So I'm kind of like making a schnitzel, really, when you think about this, yeah?
I think anything chicken, breaded, fried.
Me too.
And I can see a bottle of cider as well.
I think this is a great Saturday night dish.
You want the bowl for?
Yeah, that's what I want the bowl for. But you didn't know that. I didn't tell you, did I?
Slice this as well. Do you want this diced?
Yes, please. I'd love it diced. OK, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a little bit of rapeseed oil in the pan here. And I'm also going to put... I'm just going to turn this up a bit, but I know it rocks, so I'm just going to be careful. A little bit of butter in there. I'm just going to hang on a second just while I do this.
I take it for the age bracket, this is open to anybody that wants to take part in this.
Yeah, I mean,
Anybody that wants to pursue it as a career, or...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we get loads and loads of people entering it. Do you know the thing that blows me away more than anything are the kids, the young ones. Some of their ideas and the things, you know, they come up with are absolutely...
Like chorizo crumb chicken.
Yeah. Seriously, and they all take the mickey out of me because they say, "Oh, Les, you know, you're gearing up for your next cookbook."
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's what you're doing.
But it is, the finals are coming up and it is going to be really, really amazing. OK, I'm just going to take this off the heat for a minute because it's getting really hot. I'm just going to wash my hands and...
You've got your own cookery school now as well. Tell us about that, because you've had this for a while.
We've had it for quite a long time. We've just had, as you know, we've just moved to Shaftesbury. But I don't know, teaching is just something I love. I've always loved it. I always remember when I first started teaching at Leiths. I was a junior teacher there, and I just thought, I just love this, and I haven't stopped teaching since. I've been teaching now for probably about, 35 years. OK, so I'm going to take this now and I'm just going to put it into the pan with all that lovely crust on there, OK?
Oh, yeah.
And that's a good sign because Niall's smiling. So let's look at the ingredients for the sauce. We've got...
Do you want me to check this out while you're doing that?
Yes, you can, darling. Yes, thank you so much. So, a little bit browner.
It's about ready now.
Is it? Let's have a little looky. Oh, yeah, it is, actually. Yeah, good. Very good. Yeah, you're quite good at this, actually, aren't you? OK, so we got cider. Have you done the apples for me?
Yeah, they're there.
Oh, they're there in the onion.
Right?
Wonderful. Excellent. OK,
Do you want more, or is that all right?
No, I think that's great.
OK.
And you've left the skin on them, which I think is a really good thing. You don't have to peel it.
This on the tray?
That on the tray.
Do you want the fat from this, or...?
I don't want the fat. I want you to pour that... No, I don't want the fat. I want you to pour... You can put a little bit over, not too much. Not too much. That's enough. That's enough.
Oh, that's too much.
He's very naughty. OK, this is going into the oven now, just to finish off.
Fried bread now, this will it?
OK.
Oh, that would be nice.
So which was the recipe that you nicked, and which is the bit that's yours?
OK, well, I have to say, every single bit of this recipe I've nicked. But it comes from about 3 different... Well, I'm being honest. OK, butter going in, onion. It's about from 3 different recipes. As I said before, the original was with black pudding.
Yeah.
So, over the heat, get the apple and the onion really, really nice and soft. I'm going to put in cider.
Yeah.
I love apples, cider, cream, mustard, all those things together are fantastic.
Okay.
A little bit of stock going in there. You can use, well, I would use chicken stock for this, but you could use veggie stock. And then I'm going to put in the cannellini beans. These are just out of a tin that have been rinsed. In they go, maybe not quite as many as that. And then just give it a shake. And we're nearly there. We're nearly there, ready to... You did that really quickly. Fantastic, yeah. OK, so I like to serve with this something quite sharp, because it's kind of rich. So we've got some watercress, and I'm a bit of a fan of watercress. If you could just dry that watercress off for me.
It's growing all around where we are here. This is the watercress.
It's the watercress area, isn't it?
Area,
absolutely. I love it. I just think it's...
Exactly.
That's probably loads. OK, that's enough. So dry... just can't tell him. Give that to me.
Get off.
Okay.
Probably loads.
Did you hear that? Get off, he says. Get off. OK, dry it off for me. A little bit of cream going in here. And the sage is now going to go in. Could you squeeze a bit of lemon in the bottom and a little bit of olive oil and just lightly dress?
Because I know that you're thinking about doing your first cookbook, aren't you, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I'm here today.
Is it?
Get some advice.
Nicking our recipes as well. It is, because it's when you're doing cookbooks, I think when you've done your first one, you remember your first cookbook and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
I remember you weren't even born then, but I remember when we were doing it, the world of CFAX. That's where I remember the recipes coming round from the Ready Steady Cook days, and that I remember, that was the only way of basically keeping the recipes, I suppose. You take a photograph of it, then you type it out, and that's the way you keep it.
You're making us sound really old.
No, but it's true. I mean, that's when it was. I remember the days of Ready Steady Cook doing it, and the fax machine used to come through like a toilet roll.
Yeah.
When did you do your first cookbook?
I did my first cookbook. When was yours? I did it.
I did mine. My first proper big cookbook was probably 1990.
94. When were you born?
91.
Oh, get the hell out! Get the hell out! Oh. All right, let's check this is cooked. It looks pretty cooked. If you could for me, and then yeah, you can serve it like a big schnitzel. But if you're cooking for lots of people, it's that's beautifully cooked. Even if I say so myself. Okay, and then it's actually quite nice to cut it, because if you haven't cooked it, you can pop it back in the oven to serve. And then to serve up, you want to take your beans with that lovely creamy
and your
mustardy.
cookery schools, anybody can come along and
they
sit online and...
They can come along. Some people come and I did a whole family the other day, hands-on. We cooked all day long, and then they invited friends and they came round and had their food.
There's something magical about it, though. I know you've helped me out at my cookery school as well. There's something magical about it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's great seeing people become liberated in the kitchen. It really is. And then a little bit of lemony...
Me and Al are looking and going, do you want that?
I didn't say I want to dip some bread in that.
You want to drizzle that over the top, all that naughtiness, don't you? I know you do. I know what you want. There you go. With the lemony watercress.
Look at that.
Chorizo chicken with a ragu. There you go.
Leslie, everybody. Superstar. Now, dive in.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
Is that all for me?
Well, I'm going to get a little bit of it, so hopefully,
Make sure you get a bit of everything.
A little taste of it.
With the watercress.
I'm really intrigued to know she didn't mention which one of the people, whether they got through or not.
I'm not allowed to say.
That's a happy chef, you see. It's two happy chefs. It's great. I love the chorizo and the crumb. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Great. It really works with the oil as well. It's just delicious, isn't it? It's chef's food, do you call it?
I would say that's perfect chef's dish. There's not too many vegetables.
Yeah.
But butter, butter, beans, and fried chicken is like...
Leslie Walters, everybody. Thank you, babe. Thank you. Right, still to come, we've got a masterclass in Chicken Kiev, and I'm a Celebrity. Scarlette Douglas will be enjoying a well-deserved chocolate fondant a little bit later. But join us after the break, when master mixologist Merlin Griffiths will be giving us a crash course in cocktail making. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now we're chatting some more to I'm a Celebrity star, Scarlette Douglas, later on. And I've got a masterclass in Chicken Kiev coming your way next. But first, it's an honour to be joined at the house once again by a friend of the show who's one of the most knowledgeable bartenders in the business. It's the brilliant Merlin Griffiths.
Thank you, James.
Now, also joined us, we've got Niall here, but and not too far away from any bar around the country is Leslie, because I've known her for...
The secret's out. The secret's out.
She wasn't supposed to be part of this item, but suddenly disappeared. Funny that, isn't it?
More the merrier.
You cheeky
I've known you for a long time. Right, so but what is the topic that we're going to do today before you get started?
Yeah, sours. So sour cocktails, right? You're familiar with that? I know you see. Leslie and I were having
It's
a chat
one of the
earlier.
oldest fashion drinks, is it?
Well, it is. I mean, we got our first reference to it, crops up in 1862, Jerry Thomas's How to Mix Drinks, the original bar book, but obviously it predates that even. So you're talking a drink that's well over 200 years old.
Right.
OK? And it comes and goes. And I think the original ones used to use a lot of, say, gin or cognac, you'd find.
Fundamentally,
later.
what would be a classic... What would be a whiskey sour back then? What would be it?
Well, the main things that define your sour would be your spirit, lemon, sugar, and bitters.
Right.
And these days, you find egg white involved as well.
What's the first one you're making now, then?
So I'm going to start with a whiskey sour because that's fast become the default sour, I think, these days, is the whiskey sour. But there are a whole range. Now, these days, you'll find the popular ones as well, being amaretto sours, Midori sours. So we're doing Midori sour as well.
Okay.
And then there are some revival sours, I think, going around. But now the key here is your lemon-sugar balance for a whiskey sour, right? And it's a classic ratio we use in bartending. It's a 25 and 20, as we call it. So 25 millilitres, a single shot of fresh lemon juice with 20 millilitres of sugar syrup.
And that's 20, 25, but you're putting one shot of whiskey.
And 2 shots of whiskey.
2 shots of whiskey.
2 shots of whiskey going in there. All right, so we've got our sugar, our lemon.
Niall's nodding his head there. Yes.
He's nodding his-
Welcome
yes,
to the house, by the way.
But I think this is a great drink for people to make at home. But here, we're going to do... You might have noticed as well, I'm getting a little premium. We're using a single malt scotch.
Yeah.
Right? You get what you put in a lot of the times. I'm sure you know this as a chef. You know this as a chef. Yeah. You know this as a chef.
So I recently
Better
went to...
ingredients.
I recently went to Ireland and I tasted Irish whiskey like, oh, wow.
That's it.
Wow, wow, wow. That was amazing.
And egg white. So about a tablespoon of egg white I'm going to put in here. Here you go, get it. There we are. So that's probably about half. If you've got a small egg, it's 1 whole egg white. Big egg, half an egg yolk. All right, let's get some ice in there. Some nice big rocks of ice. Now, there's another weird thing that's been going around bars that I want to address while I shake this, is that a lot of bartenders have taken to doing what's called a dry shake. So they shake first to create the mousse with the egg white in there, and then they'll add ice and shake again, all that extra work. Some people do a reverse dry shake. They'll shake with the ice first to chill the drink, and then shake without the ice
Life's
afterwards.
too short.
It is, exactly. Just get the ice in there. Do you know how you get the good mousse on top? It's shaking it hard enough, full stop. A friend of mine, Jamie, and I were talking about this the other day. We were laughing. Why go to all that extra effort? You don't need to. You just need to really shake it very hard. There we go. Oh, do you know what I did forget in there as well? Haha. See how cheap is he chatting away? Bitters. That's the other essential thing for a sour. There we go. Boom. Again, secret weapons for bartenders. And very quickly, get it into your glass. You can see, look, you get that lovely white froth over the top. Which is
Niall's checking this out. Is this going to be on the menu? Having that?
super easy. Put that down there for now. There we go. And classic garnish these days. Orange zest over the top. Get a nice twist.
What are you doing when you're doing that? People are going to be watching this. What are you
was
doing?
like the perfume
Yeah, but what are you
going
doing?
over,
Perfume in it.
Well, yeah, so...
You can smell it from here when you're doing
Good.
that.
Yeah, citrus fruits. I've just taken that off with a vegetable peeler around the outside of an orange. It's where all the oils are.
Yes,
right?
you saw them as you did them.
Yeah, and you can see they spray off there. Cosmopolitan, you might be familiar with. You flame them at the same time. You can set them on fire as well.
Right. Do you want to try that one? So there's
Please,
a straw,
get in.
straw there.
There's
You
some straws
just try that one. Yeah.
And
I
I'll
thought you'd
crack
never
on.
asked.
I thought you wouldn't be asking, to be honest with you. I thought you'd be straight in. Right, so what are we doing now? Which one's this one?
So the amaretto sour I'm going to crack into now. Obviously, amaretto is sweet.
Okay.
So we're not going to need the sugar. The amaretto is providing the sweetness, but we'll still have the lemon and the egg and the bitters.
remember, yes, I shall.
Little
Yeah.
trick with an amaretto sour to stop them being too sweet is you cut your amaretto. Initially, I was always taught to do them half and half, but these days we do more amaretto in there just to take out the sugar part, but is a little nudge.
That's got a
nice, isn't
real
it?
kick. It's beautiful.
It's punchy.
Yeah, it's punchy.
It is punchy.
It is. They are. Let's get our egg white in there, our lemon, and as I say, we don't need sugar this time because amaretto is sweet.
So I take with it. This has been the oldest one. I mean, is there any new versions of it coming down? I presume you guys are are experimenting with different ones all the time?
Well, this is it. Once you've actually got that sweet sour part down with the
Or is the
bitters,
classics you don't mess with? Is that...
there's the classic. I think you mess with anything. Everything is fair game.
Like chefs.
Right? Really.
Constant evolution.
Yeah. Well, it is, though, isn't it?
Messing around with stuff.
Messing around with
I mean, I'll do one after the amaretto sour called the New York sour, which is more like a revival sour, because that's been around for some time.
I mean, last time you were on here, you made that cocktail. I mean, the social media went crazy about the one that I had in a bar. You made it for me, which was this.
Ah, yes, the Cosmonaut.
Cosmonaut.
You like the Cosmonaut, that's
But this
right.
was the explain to us that, because this was the raspberry jam one. That's unbelievable.
Gin, lemon, raspberry jam. Simple, 3 ingredients, but made as sort of a little... it was made to take the mickey out of the Cosmopolitan that was so popular at the time. And the chap who made it, Sasha Petrasky, just says the Cosmonaut, this is a good drink. He reckoned the Cosmopolitan wasn't that good a drink. Yeah. He couldn't understand its popularity.
So he made this one.
Yeah, so he made that.
Messing around with stuff again, you see?
Messing around.
So you've just put a bit of orange bitter in there.
A little orange, and I got fancy as well. I got little chocolate bitters there as well.
Okay,
so,
right, okay.
Yeah. Just because it's amaretto, and you want that sort of richness.
Yeah.
Through. It's much more desserty kind of flavour. Again, we've got our egg white, we've got our lemon juice in there. Right.
Pardon me a bit, Dev. Do these things have a shelf life? Are they like a spice that you...
You mean, are they like Marmite?
Well, are they like something that Granny had a walnut whip since 1946? That would, do you know what I mean? Because you buy a lot of these, and people go, I'm not really going to use that because I'm using a small amount. Do they...
They last a long, long time.
Right,
a long, long time.
That's good.
But what you need to be doing is finding more uses for them, such as your sours. Yeah. And I'm going to use some really high-quality cherries over the top on your amaretto.
See, these are these ones. We've had these on the show as well. These are incredible.
Lovely ones. If you can't find those, there's generic varieties. But what you do not want, I will warn you now, do not get those glacé cherries.
Never.
No,
not
ever for a cocktail. Never, 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 never.
I rather like those.
I know, it's all right. Liking them's fine.
We know the type of bars. I told you that, so that you forgot. I told you that to start off with.
Are we allowed to try it?
You can go in there as well.
Get in there, get in there.
Exactly. So we've got the last one then.
And then lastly, let's have a little look. The New York sour. So we're back over to our whiskey, but we want an American whiskey. It works well with rye.
I like this one. I looked at it last night, and is this one of your favourites to do?
I like a New York sour. I think it looks very pretty. What we're going to do for this that makes the New York sour special is you float a little claret over the top. I mean, I must be honest, actually, claret is not a term we see used much these days. I've got an American whiskey in there. We've got our lemon, egg, bitters, as usual. So we're going to shake that up. But we're going to float a little claret over the top. It basically refers to Bordeaux wines. I think the closest you see claret these days is in I don't know, a Jason Statham movie is when you reference claret these days rather than drinks.
I wasn't sure about the amaretto going in there, but it really works, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wow. That's for those with a sweet tooth, but they're very popular these days. Like those and Midori melon sours.
Sweet.
I get asked for quite a lot these days.
Do you?
Yeah, Midori sours using Japanese melon liqueur. All right, so there we go. We've got all our bits in, though. Very simple. I think these are very satisfying drinks to make at home as well, though. You know.
And really quick.
Yeah, actually. And really quick. And as usual, I'm always, you see, I talk too much and forget little essential bits. Of course, we're going to need our sugar. You know, again, a little bit less, though, this time, because the claret over the top is going to...
Where did your love affair with the bar start? When did that start for you?
Love affair with...
With the bar that started for you. When did you decide to do it for a job?
Yeah, it's one of those things...
Because to do it seriously, it's a tremendous amount of knowledge and work.
Well, yeah, you sort of fall into it, don't you? It's one of those jobs. I think it probably took about 3 or 4 years to really sort of appreciate it and start going, you know what, I am really enjoying this. Little members club in West London called Woody's, I think, was one of the first places we started properly using fresh citrus and things. And that's where you start to get a different appreciation for your cocktails. So I'm very sloppily floating a little claret over the top there. There we go, but you want that, there we go. About half an ounce, you just want...
Look at that.
You see it just layers over the top.
So pretty.
Right, which is really, really nice. It is. Pretty when I don't spill it everywhere, but still. There we are. And again, just going to give us our little orange oils over the top.
All over the top.
You don't need them in there, though. There we go.
So you don't need orange with it, innit?
Nah.
So just give us a recap in all these before somebody drinks the whole lot. Start off with the end one.
Right, so we start with the classic whiskey sour with our whiskey, lemon, sugar, bitters, egg white. Take out the sugar and we're going to put in amaretto with a little nudge of bourbon.
Yeah.
And that makes your amaretto sour.
Now,
very, very
with that
popular.
one. What do you reckon?
My favourite is the amaretto, though.
So you have a sweet tooth.
My favourite is this one.
Yeah, and it's got, so you like it drier. This
I
is
like
a
it
much,
drier.
much drier drink, and you get a little life from the wine in there as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so there, your New York sour, so it's, again, it's an American whiskey sour with a float of claret over the top, float of Bordeaux.
Never seen that before.
It's like an encyclopedia on drink, and it's fantastic. Merlin, everybody, superstar. Thank you very much. Right, still to come. I'll let you carry on drinking. Still to come, now we'll be making an amazing dish for his debut here, and I'll be serving up a hot chocolate fondant dessert for my guest, Scarlette Douglas. But after the break, I'll be back in the kitchen for an unmissable masterclass in chicken Kiev. I'll see you in a bit. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Particularly, I like the claret one. Welcome back. Now, Chef Niall Keating will be working his magic in the kitchen. That's coming up next. And I'll be chatting some more to Scarlette Douglas from GMB and I'm a Celebrity at the end of the show. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And this week's a good one. I thought I'd show you a step-by-step guide to making probably one of the nation's most famous dishes, really. It's the chicken Kiev. So what I've got in here is I've got the chicken Kiev that I've had made. I'm going to show you how to make it because I'm going to deep fat fry it. But I want to show you at this stage, first of all, because the oil is quite important. It's 160 degrees. So the idea is that it's not too hot because otherwise it's going to brown the chicken and it's not going to allow the chicken to cook inside. If it's too low, of course, you'll end up with no colour on the chicken and the butter will be really melted and bad in the middle. So this just gets dropped into the fryer. I've got 2 chicken breasts over here. And this needs about 9-10 minutes in the fryer. That's going to take to cook. So that'll just cook away nicely. Over here, first thing we need to do is make the butter for this. Now, I've got some garlic, of course. I've got garlic in several different guises. We're going to see raw state, which you can use. You can use this straight raw. If you don't like it too strong, there is a little way you can take a little bit of the strength out of it. If you cut the garlic like that, there's a little membrane that sits right in the middle of the garlic. See that little white membrane that's in there? If you take rid of that, you'll lose a little bit of the garlic strength, but that's where most of the garlic strength is in there. So you lose a lot of that by removing that. But it's a bit fiddly. Alternatively, you can use the roasted garlic, which I've got in here. And when you squeeze it, you've got this amazing soft garlic. And you can see that if I squeeze this, but you've got this amazing soft garlic inside there. And that I'm going to use to flavour our garlic butter. So I'll give it a quick squeeze. There we go. And you've got it's nice and soft. Either way, whichever way you use it, I'd prefer to use cooked garlic for this one. So the butter itself, I've got some parsley, I've got some softened butter, a little bit of lemon. But first thing we do is grab some parsley and just blend this in a blender. It's important to make the butter bit first, of course, because we need to make sure this is made and chilled and cold before we start to make it. So make sure the parsley's blended really well. Whichever garlic you use, you can just add this to it as well. And keep blending, like that. And then we've got just a few more ingredients into this. What I do, just to offset it slightly, you can use a little bit of lemon zest, you can use a little bit of lemon juice, it's entirely up to you, but just a squeeze of that, I think it needs. Now in for our butter. You can use salted or unsalted, it's entirely up to you. Makes no difference because we're going to season it anyway. We've got seasoned flour anyway, so just pop that in and blend it again. This is where you want to make sure it's really nicely blended. So there's your butter, all done. Or should I say butter, if the Northern Continent are watching. And then we grab our cling film. Now, this is the actual important process that you go through with this. You can actually, as I've seen this done in ice cube trays, and people sort of put it in ice cube trays and then freeze it. But I find that this is the best way to do it. You want to take this butter like that, spread it out a little bit, which is pretty good. And then we can then roll this up. So take your cling film, and what you're looking for is a sort of a long tube of butter. Now, it's not too thick. It's not too thin. It's just that, right? Because that's got to go inside the chicken. So the thicker we make it, the bigger hole we've got to make it as well. That's where the big problems are, because then it starts to leak out. So we've got a nice little bit of butter. Then you can roll it up like that. So it's nice and tight. You get it like this, and then you can tie it off if you want. Alternatively, just take this, pop it straight in the fridge. And we can sit that in the fridge until it's cool. Now, same time of this, while that's chilling, we can turn our attention to our chicken. We'll just have a quick look in here. Looking all right? Looking all right? Over here, chicken breast. Now, when you buy this, classic chicken supreme, they didn't used to do this in the 1970s when we had the chicken Kievs in packs. They used to leave this little bit of fillet out. This is where they've been a bit cheeky, the suppliers. They take the fillets out and sell you that separate. And that fillet's quite important because you can use that as a plug when it comes to making chicken Kievs. But they can get away around that anyway. What you have to do is take the skin off. You don't take the skin off the entire chicken if you don't want. You can just take it off this bit. So we'll take it off there, like that. Trim that off a little bit. Off there. So just trim off the skin. A tendency, I wouldn't put the skin with chicken Kiev. You want to remove it, but the little leg is fine like that. So this can come straight off. You don't have to do it with the leg on, but I just think it just looks a little bit nicer. Keep that, because that's just brilliant grilled. So what you want to do with this is just take our chicken and just trim it up a little bit. And this is where we need a couple of pieces of meat like that. Like that. And then you've got a nice little bit, a piece of chicken over here. Now, what you have to do is pick the fat side of the chicken, which is this area here, insert your knife in, like this, and you're creating a little pocket. Now, you want to make sure your knife, the point of the knife, doesn't go through the chicken. Because all the while, that's just going to create another avenue for our butter to leak out. So straight in, open it out as a little pocket. There we go. And you've got this little hole in here. So you're there ready. Then, turn our attention back in the fridge. I've got my butter in here. This is one that I've got chilled, ready. You can take your piece of butter like this, like that, cut it, and you've got your nice little piece of chilled garlic butter, like a nice little pellet of butter. And you see where I've seen a lot of it done in the freezer as well, but you see from that, it ends up being a bit too thick, being the size of an ice cube, which that is. Perfect, like that. Then what we can do is trim this, if you want, just to fit, and then this butter goes into the hole, like that. So you're taking it in there, and you're popping it straight in. It hides itself inside there. So again, you can trim this up. There you go. You can see what happens to the chicken. It looks as if it's put a bit of weight on, which is what you do when you eat this chicken anyway. But look, you've just popped in there. Now, what you end up with is a small hole, and you can use this piece of chicken to plug the hole. So you just pop that in the gap. That's the little secret I always find. So take this little bit of chicken. This is where that fillet is so invaluable, really. Really, when you've got in there, you can just take that like that. Then, what we want to do is pane this. This is flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. So you take the flour, egg, and breadcrumbs. It's called pane, but what we do with this, we double pane. So these are seasoned bits of flour, a little bit of egg, and some crumbs. So to double pane, you take the chicken, you put it in the flour first, make sure it's well coated, in the egg, well coated, but then double pane to seal that hole in. We put it back in the flour, roll it around, back in the egg, and then once we double pane it, it goes into the crumb. So that's the word double pane, and that's the important bit. You get a double coating of egg and flour in there. So once we got to that stage, so flour in there, to show you one more. So make sure it's well coated. You can see the butter's in there as well. You see the big nugget of butter in there. Into the egg. When cooks talk about double pane, that's what it is. It's not double pane of eventually with the crumb and then back into the flour. It's the flour, egg, then into the crumb. So mix this together. You see you get this thicker glue. So I'm using the little panko crumbs over here, which are a sort of style of crumbs. They're sort of a dried crumb that they kind of shave, really. and it produces a crispier crumb to your chicken Kiev. And that's it. Once you've got your Kiev like that, you can then, just wash my hands, you can then freeze it or put it in the fridge and then utilise it whenever you want. And it goes in the fryer, as I've just said. Now, you don't waste a lot of this butter as well, so this will use so many different things. This is something quick to serve it with, and it is very, very quick, this. You can take a little bit of butter and a few bits of leeks, and just show you how quick this is. So get a pan on and nice and hot. So cook these leeks, really, really simple, nice and thin. Grab some of this butter, they can go in here. You've got some of your leeks in there. It's very quick, this, but it's really, really tasty. A little bit of white wine. It's purely optional, this, if you don't want. Touch of that. A little bit of cream. These are nice cream leeks just to go with it. Really, really easy. Bit of salt, bit of pepper. About a minute, 2 minutes, it's going to be ready. That's that. Meanwhile, our little Kievs. So here's your Kievs. You can lift these out. In there. And then we've got our leeks. Really, really simple with the leeks. They're just nice cream leeks. Keep the colour in there. Just nice and simple to cook. Particularly with this, because you've got the garlic butter as well in there. Again, I would utilise that little bit of lemon, really. So it's not too powerful, just a touch of lemon juice as well. And then you grab your plate. And we're there. I guarantee you this dish is quicker than I'd buy a packet one. There you go. Possibly. But look, you can take your love. Look at these. It's so simple. Cream leeks. Like that. And then I grab a little bit of watercress, just with it. And then pop your chicken Kiev, whichever one you want, on there. With a little sprig of watercress. And there we have it. If I put that one on there, the director calls this the money shot. I call it panic, to make sure that that's still got the butter in it. Check it out. In here, just to get you a second look. Look at that. Look at that. Mmm. Mmm. And you know it's good. We've been eating this since the 70s. There's times like this where my right leg starts to shake. Just my right leg. Time now for a quick break. Join me again in a couple of minutes when Chef Niall Keating will be wowing us a dish of halibut with a yuzu kosher sauce. I'll see you in a minute. It's just this right leg shaking a little bit. I need to have a moment alone. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now I'll be serving up my show-stopping dessert for my guest Scarlette Douglas very shortly, but first I'm here with a man who was one of the youngest chefs in the UK to have 2 Michelin stars before setting up place of his own in Stoke-on-Trent. It's Niall Keating! Thank you very much. So what are you going to be cooking for us today? Your first time at the house?
First time at the house.
So what are you going to be making? I see you brought an amazing bit of fish as well. What are you going to be making?
So we're doing Giga halibut today, but we're going to serve it just a bit more family style, so similar to what we do on a Sunday lunchtime at the restaurant.
Now, you've got me on garnish, so I'm doing little Parisienne scoops.
Oh, this is what we do at the restaurant. Yeah, so Parisienne scoops of that.
First time on the show, and wait till he's got to see what's coming up for me next. Peeling grapes with a spoon. But go on.
So next up, we're going to do a wonderful, like, beurre blanc classic sauce.
Yeah.
So we're going to reduce some fish stock, and we're going to season that up, and then we're going to add butter to that and slowly blend it.
Now, tell me about your career, because you worked with a gentleman that's on the show quite a lot, Sat Baines.
He's your mate.
Yeah, exactly. You were with Mr. Sat Baines, but you ended up all over the world, really. You worked with some amazing places in America, one of the best restaurants in America.
Yeah, so I worked at a restaurant called Bennu.
Yeah.
So 3 Michelin-starred restaurant by Corey Lee, who was it was a very much a Korean-based cuisine.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to get a visa, work there. And yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic
It's been an
time.
amazing time.
As a young chef, being able to travel and being in San Francisco when you're 20-something years old and...
Was the aspiration always for you? I mean, you were very young. You were 25 when you got your first star?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
It feels like a lifetime ago now.
But was it always the aspiration to you to do the Michelin route, or was it just the aspiration to cook in amazing places?
It really was. I mean, I always wanted, actually, to be a rugby player.
Right.
That didn't work out. So we went down the cooking route instead. And, yeah, I was working in a local pub as a kitchen porter and a pot washer. Slowly became premier executive sous chef of the pub that only had one chef, which was then me.
Premier executive. Please tell me you didn't have a name on the jacket as well saying that, did you?
I did think about it.
Exactly.
Were any of your family in food?
No, actually. My dad is a HGV driver and my mum looks after an estate, like an industrial estate.
So you started washing pots in a kitchen, ended up running the kitchen, and then it takes you to all these Michelin-star restaurants. So tell me, how do you end up at Whatley Manor? Because that's where you sort of... I remember your name sort of popping up, and Whatley Manor was that one. How did you end up there?
So I'd left San Francisco, then I moved to Copenhagen. So after being in Copenhagen, I was head chef of a restaurant called Kong Hans Kæler, which was a Michelin-star restaurant over there. And then it was time to go back to the UK, and there was a job that was coming up that I knew of, and it just so happened to be there. So I thought...
There's not many chefs I'll put glasses on for, but I need them for this bit.
Do you want me to show you or not?
Eh?
Need me to show you?
Go on then.
There you go.
You can eat that bit.
Peeling the grapes, yeah. So go on, Whatley Manor, yeah.
So Whatley Manor, yeah, I was fortunate enough to get the position there. So it was a real whirlwind, actually, because it seemed to just kind of... I'm not sure, but every time that I was doing something, because I've been away cooking and on a visa and in a lot of different countries, it seemed to draw a lot of attention to what kind of food I really wanted to cook.
And tell everybody where you are now, because where you are now, you got your own place. Well, tell everybody about this place, because it's based in a China factory.
Wedgwood.
Yeah.
The home of pottery.
Yeah.
I'm the home of the pottery Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's back home for me. It's where my parents are, or my family. It's a very sociable restaurant in terms of we look after local artwork. We hold different events. We also really try and cater for our customers. So we do a very accessible lunchtime menu, but then a tasting menu in the evening, which kind of reflects a bit more of what I used to cook.
Yeah.
But then on a Sunday, we cook Sunday lunch.
And then also, while you're doing that, and wanting to expand that around the globe, I keep seeing you pottering up on social media, travelling around the world, working for a certain F1 company.
Yeah, so this season, I've been fortunate enough to link up with Williams Formula One team, who might have been absolutely fantastic looking after me and the team. But yeah, my guys have gone to every single race this year. And I haven't gone to every single one, but I've been looking after them whilst they've been globe-trotting.
Yeah.
But they've enjoyed themselves, let's say. I'm just going to turn this fish now. The pickled onions are going to go in there as well. If you could,
Yep,
chop chives.
I can do that. You don't want all these.
No, not all of them.
Spring onions?
Yeah,
Spring onions
yeah.
and the radish.
Okay. Chopped spring onions, just chopped, finely, just sliced through.
The spring onions?
Yeah.
Really nice and fine, please, yeah.
Get it right.
There you go. Glasses are on. See, when I was your age, I didn't need these, you see. In fact, when I was your age, you know, I was world champion chopper. I was the Guinness Book of Records. I have the Guinness Book of Records for the fastest chopper in the world. I've slowed down a bit since then, but the world's fastest carrot peeler and chopper, do you know that?
Oh, that looks...
No, you didn't.
I did. I've got the Guinness Book of Records, world's fastest carrot
Yeah,
peeler and
you
chopper.
have.
See, there you go. Right. Chopped chives, yeah.
Chopped chives.
Yeah.
So we're going to add them very at the end to the sauce.
Chopped spring onions, yeah.
Chopped spring onion next, please.
Very
Yeah,
fine.
no problem. Yeah.
Just turn that fish over now.
looks
So we got
amazing, doesn't
60% of the way.
beautiful.
And then we're just lightly basting it, and we just want to just finish it on the bottom side. I'm actually going to turn the pan off now
And use the residual heat.
and just
there.
use the residual heat.
There we go. You got enough?
A bit more, please.
How many staff have you got in your kitchen then? Are you in charge
A
of?
lot, we're looking at this.
At the moment, we have 8 chefs, and we have...
6 of them are on garnish.
We've got an opening coming off. If
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have 12 front of house staff. But we have obviously the staff that travel with the Formula One, and then I have staff that work for the food truck company, and general various.
Because I've seen this food truck. I saw you at a few festivals with it as well. Incredibly busy.
Yeah, I know you didn't come over though, did
The
you?
way you were too busy, I couldn't be bothered to queue. To be honest with you. Life's too short to queue now, you know.
Yeah, it's been great actually. We've done a few festivals this year, but just some. It was actually something that we created through COVID, and when the lockdown happened, we parked it up in Stoke-on-Trent at the local hospital, feeding NHS staff. So we did that to start off with, and then we. All of a sudden, we had this Paradise Carriage era, and we had Gareth Ward, Brad Carter, everyone coming and cooking on the food truck. Sat Baines as well, Tom Sellers.
Right. Well, have I done my?
That looks beautiful.
Have I done my little 5 piles of food?
Yeah.
Do I pass the test? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's all right.
Thank you.
he's a bit cheeky, isn't he?
You know, sorry. It's the first time. Happy?
Very happy.
That's that.
The rest of our garnish.
I feel like a proper commie chef now. Just
Yeah, doing a good job, mate.
So we've got sea herbs out. We've got a sauce. We're going to add everything here to our sauce. How are we going to do that? We do the old board
go for
scrape.
it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
go on.
do it.
Yeah, go on.
Cucumber, peeled white grapes, chives, spring onion, radish.
I'm glad he's used it all. We were going to have words afterwards if he'd been using all those
I thought that,
grapes.
actually.
Do you mind tasting that, Chef, please?
Oh, it looks so pretty.
Very nice, Chief. Very nice.
So I'm just going to make 4 little beds of our sea herbs here.
What's the warmth I'm tasting now? Is that?
That's from the yuzu koshu. So the chili
That's
side.
the jalapeno. Is it the
Wow,
jalapeno?
mate.
That's right. So we've got all these sea vegetables in there. Excuse me. I'm going to pop our fish on there.
I love the caramelisation on that fish.
Oh, you just know that that's going to be
It's going to
delicious,
taste
don't you, really?
amazing, isn't it?
I love the idea. You don't have to plate everything. You just put it in the middle of the table and everybody helps
Family
themselves.
service, it's got to be the
Yeah.
best.
So to the sauce now, just at the end, just for a little bit of acid as well. I'm going to add some of the pickled onions that we did earlier. So pickled baby shallots, and that's just in a very simple 1-1-1 vinegar, sugar and water.
Yeah. Looks lovely, that, doesn't it?
Looks lovely. Veg looks good.
Veg looks good.
And then we're going to fill this whole pot.
It's amazing, that, isn't it? That?
Sweetness from the white grapes, freshness from the radish. Got the alliums coming through with the spring onions and the chives.
Amazing.
Just for a little bit of colour. We've got the marigold in there as well.
Not bad at this, are you, Chef?
Have a go. Some borage.
Borage.
Bring back borage.
Yeah.
Lovage is another one I grow in the garden.
Lovage, I grow lovage.
That's
I love it.
So give us the name of the dish. The Guillaume, that's the area of the Scotland where it comes from.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So Isle of Giga, we've got the halibut. We've got cucumber, white grapes.
So pretty. Looks beautiful.
We've got all the sea herbs. As I said, this is very much a family sharing dish, so you want a bit of everything in there. A one-pot wonder, served at the table.
And if anybody's doing this at home, it's certainly a family dish when you're preparing it. Get the kids to peel the grapes. It takes forever. Happy with that?
Very happy.
Niall, everybody! Another match. Brilliant. Bon appetit.
Thank you.
Little something we just rustled up there.
Thank you.
Should we
Go on
go
then,
straight
Chef.
from the pot?
Yeah, go on. We've got to go straight from the pot, haven't we? How good is that?
Oh, it's...
The sauce is incredible.
The sauce feels like silk. It's just got a silky texture and it's beautiful flavour.
I think there's just something very special about a really nice piece of white fish,
Yeah.
cooked well, with a buttery sauce, and then you've got all those elements, the salt, the acid, the
Yeah.
sugar, bit of umami in there with the yeast as well.
The peeled grapes, the cucumber.
That's your job.
Now, Keaton, everybody. That is amazing. Really is amazing. We've still got time for one more final course, so join us after the break when I'll be rustling up an epic chocolate fondant for Scarlette Douglas. I'll see you after the break. It's delicious, this. Welcome back, sadly, to the last part of the show. There you go. But I'm back in the kitchen with Niall, Leslie, and of course my guest Scarlette Douglas as well. And I thought for my final cut, the reason why they're cheering as well at that is that you're a big lover of desserts.
Oh, huge lover of desserts.
So I thought we'd do a little chocolate fondant, a la Leslie Waters. As in, take a recipe that you know, and adapt it and change it and work with it. So this is an adaptation of a recipe that I had when I was working in this restaurant called Trois Gros.
Okay.
So it was a 3-star Michelin in the south of France. It worked perfectly well until possibly I've changed it.
Right.
Now, so in here, this is a chocolate fondant. You're classic middle puddings, and you can do this different ways. You can sometimes whip up the eggs separately and fold in the whites, that kind of stuff. To make it easier for home, this is what I liked about this recipe. It was just basically melted chocolate, butter, sugar, flour, and whole eggs. But you do it if you do it in a sequence, you can just throw it all in. But you've got to melt the butter and the chocolate first, so that's going to go in there. Meanwhile, Niall, my 2-star Michelin assistant over here, is going to peel the bananas, and then you're going to blowtorch them with ice and sugar. So,
Thank you, chef.
yeah, exactly. I want them caramelised, blowtorch with icing sugar as well. We're just going to mix this all together. While that's happening, we're going to take our moulds, because this is the important bit with this, is you've got to really well butter the moulds. So when you butter the moulds, put plenty of butter in. You can almost do this twice. Butter it, put it in the freezer or fridge, let it set and butter it again. And you can either coat these in flour if you wanted to. I'm going to do it in cocoa powder to keep the colour. Or you can do it in things like desiccated coconut.
Yeah.
But this is not about this. This is all about you, Scarlette, as well, because we talked about loads of things you're up to as well. Want to be a musician as well, I hear. As well, I said singing is on the horizon, possibly.
Yeah, so obviously I've come from a singing and dancing background, and I just love music so much. So it's something I've always wanted to do. I think I kind of got into musical theatre to be a singer. I wanted to be in a girl group when I was younger. My mum said, you need to be a triple threat then. So I trained in singing, dancing and acting.
How do you get into the West End? How does that work? Because it's notoriously difficult.
It's very difficult. I went to Performing Arts College called Lane Theatre Arts when I was younger. And from there, you have a college agent, and they would put me up for auditions.
A college agent?
Yeah.
Right.
And I just started auditioning for things, and I would get roles. But it was very hard. It's a very difficult industry. And you have to have a lot of perseverance.
And a lot of rejection you get early on,
Yes,
don't you? You've got to learn to... Rejection is part of the norm, isn't it, really?
Absolutely. And, you know, if I'm honest, when I was younger, there weren't many people in musical theatre that looked like me.
We're going to cut these, yeah.
So there was always kind of the token black character in a show. So you turn up to an audition and it's all the same black friends that you know. You're like, OK, it's only going to be one of us, which was always really hard. But it's changed a lot now, and I love that. So there's some great musicals in town that have got a whole mix, a whole plethora of people in it.
But doing all the things you do, you must miss the West End stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, doing all the TV is one thing, but missing...
I totally miss the West End. I miss being applauded at the end of my working day. That's what I miss. That's it. I finished now, thank you very much, and I'm done.
Yeah, I wish I got that and all, but to be honest, it doesn't really happen here, to be honest, at this house.
So I'm kind of wondering, can I make a musical around property? That's what I'm thinking. Is there something in that? Yeah. We'll see, but I'll definitely love to go back to it at some point.
But we didn't even touch on I'm a Celebrity.
No.
Why?
You sound so shocked. Why? Why would you do
when
that?
I ask people, I go, really? What?
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm that sort of person where I don't like to sit in my comfort zone, and I just wanted to go in and just kind of do something that I wouldn't normally do. And I remember on the very first night in main camp, I was laying there on my hammock, and there are rangers that will come in. If anything dangerous comes into camp, they'll come in. And I just heard them say, snake, snake. And I woke up and I looked over, and there's this snake just kind of coming towards me. Long story short, they managed to get out, and then we found out the next day it was actually a venomous snake. So if it did get me, I would have been feeling a little bit poorly. But I was just in it, and I was like, this is amazing. Thinking I was
You're a brave woman.
on TV watching, or at home watching on television.
I don't know whether I could cope with that. I think I'd stick with my property shows, I think, rather than if I had all that stuff. So, look, we're just going to make this little fondant. So in we go with the sugar, and this is where we can throw in all the ingredients. Now, so many times fondant is not made like this, made with whipped egg whites and things like this, but I just love this way of doing it. So you crack the eggs in.
It's an easy way.
You throw the flour in. Yeah, Leslie, you can even nick this recipe if you want as well. You can, I know
Me?
you can.
As if I would do that.
We just mix this together. Now, usually what you do is then take this mixture, pour it into the moulds, and bake it in the oven for 10 minutes. I've changed this recipe slightly, so I'm just keeping my eye on what's going on in here, because what you do is you take your mixture, half fill it, like that, and it's the amount of time that it's in the oven, the cooking time, denotes how it's middle melt in the centre.
That's what I always wondered, how they keep the middle bit.
However, you like banoffee, don't you?
I love banoffee.
And I don't understand why you like banoffee. You don't like cream.
Weird. I know. So strange.
So look, we take banoffee chocolates.
Ah.
These are banoffee chocolates, and we put one of them in the centre like that.
Have you tried this before?
No.
So if this works, can we name it after me?
If it works, it'd be in a Leslie Waters book within about a fortnight. I've known her for 30 years, so I know, yeah.
Cheeky.
Yeah.
Do you want to try one?
No, I'm not. Thank you.
Go on, taste the banoffee chocolates as well.
Taste one. Tell me what you think.
We recapped on the property show that you'd be doing as well. Just to recap, you did Place in the Sun for what, nearly 6 years, was it?
6.5 years by the time I finished, yeah.
And that must have been amazing. I do watch that show, by the way.
It was amazing. It was my first ever presenting job as well, so to have been on that show, such a prestigious channel, and
You don't
the
look
show's
old
become
enough
so
to have
long.
been on it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my God.
I'm 35, I know I look
You get to
25.
go to some amazing places.
Oh, I've travelled everywhere. Places I'd never normally go to. Barbados, St Kitts, Nevis, Tobago, Trinidad, all of these places are just amazing.
And now Hampshire.
Yeah, exactly.
Now Hampshire.
It's up there on the list.
Now Hampshire, there you go. Right, so we got our plates here. So what I think you've got to do with fondants, I don't know about yourself, but I think you just got to leave them just a little bit.
I'll just give them a minute, yeah.
Just a minute, just to come away from the mould. It's just another excuse that hopefully that they come away from the mould. If not, you're going to be eating them out the pot, to be honest with you. And then what we can do while that's happening, we can take our bananas and pop this just on here, and then I'm going to serve this. Now, I'm going to serve this with glossy cream. You don't have to eat it if you don't want. We can just do a little bit of glossy cream with it as well.
They look nice.
On there.
Very nice.
Two-star Michelin toffee bananas.
Yes.
And then we've got our glossy cream. This is where I pass on to our two-star Michelin chef, and I want quenelle.
Oh.
Yes, quenelle. And, well, you've got rid of the water out of the pan, you see. So I'm going to give you another bit of water.
What a stitch up that is.
Yeah, I've got some water.
So what's quenelle? What does that mean? What's that?
It's like an egg shape.
Oh.
The difference between a quenelle and a dollop, you're about to find out, is 50 quid.
All right.
This is... Look at the pressure.
No pressure.
You didn't realise I was going to be doing this, go there, Jeff.
We're watching.
Yeah. He's shaking. Go for it.
So it's like an egg, do you see? It's like a...
Okay.
It's funny when that quality cream's been in the freezer, isn't it?
Oh, easy, nice.
Oh, it looks very good.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Ah. Look at that. Perfect.
Looks great. Looks like it's going to work. I'm just going to make a few notes.
I know, I should have brought a notepad and pen. I've given you my notes as well. Look at that. That looks
Oh.
And then need one more, just to finish the magic 3. There we have it. Thank you very much. Now, there we go. A little bit of that over the top.
Moment of truth. Moment of truth.
The money shot.
Hey. Oh, look at it.
Look at that.
Right. Bon appetit.
Merci beaucoup.
Oh,
There we have it.
merci.
Thank you.
There you have it.
Oh.
Cheers. Okay.
Going in, girl.
Made you one.
Cheers.
I know, but I saw that bit.
Yeah, well, you get that bit in there.
Look at that.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Now, you seem to have had quite a lot of these. This is, so you're a leveller whether this is a good one.
This is top.
Is it the top?
Yeah, I'm not just saying it. It's top.
Thank you very much. Well, best of luck with everything you're doing as well.
Thank
Good luck
you
with
so
everything. The world's your oyster, I'm sure.
Thank you.
You're all busy anyway. There you go. But that's it. That's all we've got time for today. A massive thank you to all my guests: the brilliant Merlin Griffiths, Leslie Walters, Niall Keaton, of course, and the fantastic Scarlette Douglas. There we go. We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday morning. We'll be joined by more top chefs. Daniel Galmiche will be here. Sabrina Guida. Rugby star Scott Quinnell will be here. And Homes Under the Hammer legend, yes, he is, Martin Roberts. He'll be checking out my house as well. Until then, take care, stay safe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye for now.